one of the ways that I was able to really connect with one of my now clients was through ukulele. Nobody would know that I play the ukulele if they didn't see me on. I used to have it hanging just to the side of me here, and I would take it and I just like strum away between calls. And because they were able to see that, they were able to connect with me in a different way. Now, that's not me creating a curated post, right? That's a whole different dynamic that I only show up with when I'm here on my show, when I'm really being human. That's the whole point, right? We are humans first.
I love that because you play the ukulele. It's not like if you have a dog, that's one thing, right? That's everybody seems to have a dog, right? But you do something so unique. That's not an attempt to draw attention or to connect with other like-minded ukulele players. It's not some fabricated, hey, this is something that I do to try to get that attention. It's you being your authentic self. And sometimes we try too hard, right? We try too hard to impress. Well, what does my background have to look like? It's got to be all perfect. And, before I start a podcast, I have to make sure that I have all the right equipment. And, I went to school for this stuff. So like the equipment and all that kind of stuff is important to me, right? But at the same time, it is so important, even more important to bring your authentic self, not put on that mask or that face that you think the audience wants you to put on, because what they actually want is your authentic self.
If you've ever thought about starting a podcast, but maybe haven't taken the leap, or have guested on a few shows or thought about guesting on a few shows, but again, hesitated, this is the conversation you need to join. I have Jon here today. He's going to tell us a little bit about himself, why this topic matters to him, and why it should matter to you. Jon, welcome to the show.
Shauna, thanks so much for having me on. Love this show. Love everything, all the work that you do. Like you said, I'm from Story Trust Media. I founded the brand all about telling your story to build trust with your audience. I worked in radio for 5 years, and I still contract in local radio, but I found that the power of podcasting, I believe, is the future, and the ability to build authentic trust through conversations and repurposing of content, I believe is something that we really need to be doing as marketers and as small business owners. And like I like to say, mission-driven messengers, those who have a message and a mission. So that's really, I believe, the power of this. Thanks again for having me on. I'm excited for our conversation today.
Oh my goodness, it's going to be amazing. Here's the thing. You touched on a couple of really important parts of this whole deal. The first being, of course, building trust, right? The second being showing up, visibility, brand awareness. These are two huge parts of podcasting, whether you're a host like myself or whether you're a guest like yourself in this context.
Yeah.
This is so pivotal for any business owner at all. So let's start with the trust building. I think that's a really great place to start, because when it comes down to it, a lot of us, if we're showing up, we're doing so to gain clients. We're doing so to make sure people not only are aware of the fact that we exist, but also are what we have to offer, how they can work with us, and then the process after which. But they're not going to take action if they don't trust you. So even if you're posting every day, how you show up, where you show up, it all matters. So how is it that podcasting, in your opinion, is one of the best ways to build trust in order to really make momentum in your business?
Well, I love the conversations that we've had to this point, Shauna, because we talked about this big word, authenticity, and everybody wants to be authentic, right? But the most authentic way to connect with your audience is through the spoken word, I believe, and visually showing up. You see our faces. Maybe you're just listening and we're in your ear or on in the car. There you go. The beautiful thing is that method of connection builds more trust. And there's been research done about this, about the spoken word, more trust than just written content. And now there's nothing wrong with written content. And that's still such a powerful way. I have a blog. I definitely recommend that people, use those avenues to deliver their messaging. But trust is really the currency of business. and of the nonprofit world. I work with coaches and nonprofits, and coaches, in order to work with them, you have to have a high degree of trust, right? There's those relationships where trust is really, really important because it's a higher ticket item. You're trusting somebody with more of yourself and maybe your challenges and struggles, your goals and dreams. Going through the drive-through at McDonald's, not a high trust transaction, although you do need to have some trust there that the food's going to be good and safe, right? But when it comes to coaching, when it comes to giving your hard-earned money to an organization or a cause that you're passionate about, those are high trust transactions. So if you're in one of those industries, whether it be a coach or a nonprofit, especially, but certainly other businesses as well, especially service-based businesses, trust is so important. That's the currency of business.
I love it. I love that you really break it down to be that the currency, because a lot of people will just talk about money. Oh, well, people aren't buying. Maybe my costs are too high, or maybe they're too low, or maybe all these things, which might be true, right? You never know until you dive in. But at the end of the day, people are buying from you. For solopreneurs, micro businesses, small businesses, coaches, therapists, solopreneurs, all these people, right? They're buying from you. And if they don't see your face, if they're not seeing how you compose yourself, they're going to wonder who's the real you? How can I relate to you? One of the ways that I was able to really connect with one of my now clients was through ukulele. Nobody would know that I play the ukulele if they didn't see me on. I used to have it hanging just to the side of me here, and I would take it and I just strum away between calls. And because they were able to see that, they were able to connect with me in a different way. Now, that's not me creating a curated post, right? That's a whole different dynamic that I only show up with when I'm here on my show, when I'm really being human.
Yeah.
That's the whole point, right? We are humans first.
I love that because you play the ukulele. It's not like you have if you have a dog, that's one thing, right? That's everybody seems to have a dog, right? But you do something so unique that's not an attempt to draw attention or to connect with other like-minded ukulele players. It's not some fabricated, hey, this is something that I do to try to get that attention. It's you being your authentic self. And sometimes we try too hard. Right? We try too hard to impress. Well, what does my background have to look like? It's got to be all perfect. And, before I start a podcast, I have to make sure that I have all the right equipment. And, I went to school for this stuff. So the equipment and all that kind of stuff is important to me. Right. But at the same time, it is so important, even more important, to bring your authentic self, not put on that mask or that face that you think the audience wants you to put on, because what they actually want is your authentic self.
Absolutely. And we see this all the time with regards to people creating reels online or any sort of other video content. Remembering that video content, it can be a podcast, absolutely, but it can also be other forms of content. But this is the thing. You see these reels going viral because they're real. The reels are real. Yes, I
love
just
that.
myself say that.
That.
They're holding their phones and they're doing this thing, and maybe they've got a messy house, or maybe they don't. Maybe their house is pristine. Who knows? The Pinterest houses or whatever. But then they'll show you a moment in time when they are just being themselves, and that's more often than not what's going to connect more deeply with their audience. And this is where podcasts level, because you're able to show up either on a solo podcast or with a guest, and you can really cater it in such a way, because as you said, people will wonder, well, how do I show up? They'll overthink it. Well, this is a really great way to meet in the middle. Instead of wondering about the vast things you could record for a reel, which can be very overwhelming for a lot of people, your podcast has a purpose. And you just need to show up in alignment with that purpose. Right? And that's it. It makes it a lot simpler because you can stay in your lane. You can create the content. You can be authentic. You can choose to include the crazy things behind you if you would like to, or you can just have a lovely background. It's up to you. Totally up to you. You don't need to overcomplicate it. But in the theme of non-overcomplication, staying in your lane without having the vast amounts of choices, it makes it easier. I'm talking myself in circles, but I want to kind of rewind a little bit about that, because of the simplicity part of it. You were talking about how you studied this, and it's really important to have certain gear.
Yes.
And we don't want to overthink it. So, what would you say are like, I don't know, three basics without overthinking that somebody should have if they're thinking about starting a podcast and or guesting on a podcast?
Great questions. I would say, first of all, it's a balance, right? Because like you said, gear is really important to me. This thing is important. It costs $500, but not everybody has to pay $500 for their microphone. What is important, though, is to make sure that you're in a quiet environment. I'd say that's number one. You'll say, oh, well, do I need to invest in an XLR microphone? If you want to make money doing voiceover work, yes. But if you want to record a podcast, no, especially with all the tools that are out there today now to help enhance the quality or the sound quality of audio. So I wouldn't say invest in an external microphone necessarily if you're just starting out. I would say to invest more in a higher quality recording software or a recording host, whether it be something like Restream or something like Zencaster or a Spreaker or a Riverside, right? Too many people record podcasts either over the phone or via a Google Meet, and those platforms are great for meetings, but not great for hosting an actual podcast. So I would say first thing to invest in is not actually a piece of tangible equipment that you can hold in your hand, but number one, have a quiet room. Make sure you're in an environment where the dog's not going to come up and the kids aren't going to start screaming in the background, although that would be authentic, right? But we maybe don't want to be that authentic just yet. Start with that quiet space. And then after that, make sure that you have a platform specific to podcasting, something to record with and maybe also help you repurpose and host your podcast online. That is something that most likely you're going to have to pay for, but it's going to actually be tailored towards podcasting. So those two things are the things that I would start with. If you have a decent webcam, that is important. Audio only podcasts were very popular 10 years ago. Still can find some success today, but you're going to do a lot better. And the repurposing power is going to be so much higher if you have a video component to your podcast like this one. So that's what I highly recommend, are those three things to start off.
I love it. I love it to pieces, in fact. And I want to dive into that then, the whole repurposing aspect. And this is your content creation. For people who are like, oh man, I've got to create content to be visible. And yeah, sure, I could start a podcast or I could guest on podcasts. But then what does that give me? I'm supposed to, keep in mind, show up all the time. Now, first of all, I want you to check yourself before you wreck yourself and know that you do not need to show up all the time.
That's right.
You need to have a cadence and a methodology that works with you in your life, first of all. So just honor that. Second of all, the beautiful thing about podcasting is that typically shows are anywhere between 20 minutes to an hour. That creates a lot to work with.
A lot.
More
than you might think, too. Yeah.
Absolutely. If you're able to either outsource or learn how to extract clips from your show, you can create content for your platform, wherever you're showing up, for weeks and weeks and weeks from one show, depending on the length and quality of the show, of course. But that's invaluable.
Yeah, that can be your content. That's why I like to call it a content creation engine, because you don't have to show up. So I had COVID a few weeks back. That sucked. I got through. I'm alive. I made it, right? It wasn't fun, of course. And it's very real, by the way. COVID is real. In case if you've never gotten it yet, it's not just a cold. It's real. But it
sucks.
It sucks, doesn't it? The cool thing is, though, I wasn't sitting there, coughing my lungs out and trying to figure out what to post that day, because the podcast covered that. And that's the power of content creation and having that engine through repurposing. And most people don't get the most out of the content they create. There's a lot of podcasters out there who are driving the old car I had that got 15 miles per gallon. And I held onto this car and I'm going, I can't afford a new car yet. I gotta just hold on to this car for as long as I can. I poured so much money into it, getting 15 miles per gallon. Today, I'm not driving anything super, crazy, but my Toyota now gets 36 miles per gallon. Do you know how much less I spend on not only maintenance, but gas and the fuel efficiency and the more environmentally friendly anyway, aspect of that. That's podcasting for you in a nutshell. A great podcast is like a car that gets more miles to the gallon, right? Because you use it, you use it further along, right? Than just a podcast that you posted on some dusty corner of the internet and then it just lives there. And, oh, I have a podcast. Well, that's a start, but you can actually make it a content creation engine, which will help your podcast, help your personal brand, lift up your guests to make it a more desirable show to be on, and all around a win-win-win. That's the power of podcasting.
Absolutely. And I think it's something really important that you brought up that we were talking about prior is just the fact that people are actually really inefficient with the way they're using their podcast. They will literally, they're just so inefficient. Whether you're the host or whether you're the guest, you're probably not using it to its max potential.
Right.
And I say this with kindness. I say this with kindness because I've had guests who have hopped on the show and we've got a great show. Like, it's a good show, right? We're having a rich conversation. I've pulled out clips. I've created this amazing stuff. I make sure that I deliver this to my guest's door. Proverbially, it's the email. But you know, I give it to them. Repurpose this, tag me, use this whatever way you can. Here's the raw content, extract more clips, do with it what you will. And they might reshare my post. And I'm like, guys, come on, we can do better. This isn't just for me.
Right.
Like, this is if it was just for me, I'd record a solo show and I'd be singing and dancing for you. Like, I mean, I can talk for hours. If anybody knows, I can talk for hours. But truly though, like, come on. And if you're the guest, I'm a guest to a show. We were just saying there are many shows who don't even offer that. I have to ask for the raw recording.
Yeah. Sometimes they don't tell you when the episode's been released too. I mean, if you're a podcaster, please tell the person when their episode came out, even a couple days in advance if possible.
Oh my goodness. It's a pet peeve. I mean, honestly, it's a huge pet peeve because I want to be able to promote it. Listen, if I can cheat my way around my content so I don't need to create more and more, that is golden for me. I did that for the last couple of months because I actually had a couple of guest spots. I had focused on this show and then I switched over and said, I'm going to do a few guest spots. And it saved me at least 3 posts for the entire duration of the month that I didn't need to really write. All I did was like, I guested on this show here. Like, I mean, I wrote it a little bit prettier than that, but truly, like, I didn't have to think it through.
Yeah.
It was there. So why not? Like, you save so much mental capacity and you audience share and you don't have to overthink it because you've already done it. Like, I feel like it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, you would think. But a lot of people don't understand, and this isn't a fault of their own. No. It's actually just the media landscape that maybe we've grown up in is very one and done, right? It's very, this TV show airs from 7 till 8, right? And that's it. And that's the world of podcasting too, is like, well, I'm basically creating a TV or a radio show, right? And TV and radio will evolve and will continue to evolve into podcasting, yes. But since content is something that we're demanding more and more of, and we need to be on more places at more often and always. And like you said, Shauna, it's really important that, quality over quantity, right? You don't really need to be on all of them, right? That's kind of a big myth. But because more is demanded from us, and especially personal brands, mission-driven messengers, more is demanded from them. Every time there's a big current event, everybody's got to have a statement on it, right? Or else they're tone deaf, right? If something big happens, everybody has to release a statement within like 2 hours, or else it's like, what are you doing? Like, are you even here? So content is in more and more and more demand. The way we create it and repurpose it has to become more efficient, or we simply won't be able to keep up.
Yep, absolutely. I want to take this 2 different directions. The first way is just like, I'd like to share a little bit of something for people who have joined us for this conversation. And that is something that I call the content waterfall. This is the idea of this is just like to take your one piece of content and keep it going. Okay. So very, very basically, you've recorded a podcast. Not only from that podcast can you extract clips for your social media, but you can also turn a lot of what you've said into a blog. And then you can turn that blog into social media posts. right? So you can have video posts, you can have static social media posts, you can extract value from there. Like this right here, I'm telling you that this is how you would repurpose your content. That is now a value post that you don't need to say came from the podcast necessarily, but you can easily say, oh, this already creates a framework. I can just create this 5 ways to repurpose your podcast content, and now you've got a post that you've already written it because you've already said it, and now you can extract it from there, right? These are all really great ways to use that podcast to its best, most fullest iteration of itself. If you just let it sit, it's akin to posting and ghosting. If you do that on social media, that somebody might see it, maybe if they stumble upon it.
Yeah.
But if you don't encourage the interaction, if you don't really facilitate the growth of that episode, you're not going to get anything from it. So that's one thing I want to leave you all with, that little bit. But the other side of this is something you mentioned here about being mission driven. And this kind of takes us full circle back to authenticity, because here's something we don't have a ton of time to cover it, but I think it's really important to cover it, is authenticity and making commentary potentially about current events. If you choose to do so. And then also the fear of doing all of that. The fear of being authentic, the fear of making the commentary, and the choice of not making the commentary, which comes with the fear of seeming redundant, or as you say, tone deaf. Let's blow this out of the water for the next 3 minutes. What does this look like? How does this feel? What do we do about it, etc.?
Too many people are so afraid of taking a stance on something or speaking how they really feel because of who they might offend, or the old adage, you don't talk about religion and politics, right? And you don't have to. I mean, I don't too often, but at the same time, if you're afraid of offending people, you have a very vanilla, bland brand that's never actually going to get you anywhere, right? You're never going to resonate with someone if you're not making somebody upset or saying things that rub people the wrong way, right? So this is why you start with why, like Simon Sinek says, right? What's your purpose? Mission-driven messengers. What's your purpose? If you're a nonprofit, you have an organization to, maybe it's about the environment. Maybe it's about people who, mental health. Maybe it's about children who are sick. There's endless different opportunities to make a positive difference in this world. That's being a mission-driven messenger. But of course, you're going to say something that might rub somebody the wrong way. Of course, some people are going to not agree with your stance on something. That doesn't mean you don't want to speak that. So I would say that's number one. Get that out of the way. You start with why. You then go to who. Who is this messaging for? And who is it not for, right? Who it's not for, you can't be concerned about. And who it's for, your target audience. Maybe Shauna, you've gotten this too. I'm not sure if any clients ever come to you with this. You ask them, what's your target audience? Oh, everyone. I think everyone can benefit from this. Too broad.
No. Aristotle himself said, a friend to all is a friend to none.
Right.
You wind up disappearing.
Yeah. That's content. Content made for everyone is content made to no one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's so important. That's why you start with why. Why helps you inform who, and then who helps you inform what, right? So that's podcasting in a nutshell. Start with why. Who is it for? Knowing who it's for, knowing who you're talking to. This is why when I worked in radio, we had this big creepy cardboard cutout sitting across from, the place where we're sitting here talking. I'm looking out. Here's this cardboard cutout of a 36-year-old single mom with 3 kids, and there's some information written about her, and that's what she actually looks like. That's who we're talking to. When we're creating content, we're talking to one person who is actually sitting in front of us as a visual reminder, right? We're not talking to the masses. No. We're not trying to tailor our content to everyone, or be careful what we say because this might rub these people the wrong way. That's the power of content. That's what authenticity ultimately is. Authenticity builds trust with your who, and never mind all the other people who aren't part of your who. And trust ultimately drives results, whether you're a coach, a marketing expert, or a nonprofit organization making a huge difference in the world.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. I love how this went full circle. I need to make one comment before we kind of start to wrap up here, because I actually am a Toastmaster. I've mentioned this a few times before, but I am a Toastmaster, and I just recently did a speech, and the speech was called "Let Us Not Be Boring." And one part of this speech, I just need to say this. It's one of those things. I describe 3 ways that we dim our sparkle, and one of those ways is lettuce. And people are confused, right? Okay, no worries. I'll explain it. Vanilla, still confused. That's all right. And then I invite you to a party. You're all invited to a party. We're going to have vanilla cupcakes, vanilla icing. You even have a choice of vanilla ice cream. You know, the good stuff. I'm going to the party serving the vanilla ice cream and cupcakes. I'm not going to the party for the lettuce. So stop lettucing yourself. You can be vanilla all you want. Vanilla, you add vanilla to waffles, to pancakes. You add vanilla to your cookies because it makes it better. You're this rich, lovely something that just has to be there to make it better. So I'd say that because so many people use vanilla as a personality placeholder, but it's not. Vanilla is rich and versatile.
Yeah.
Subtle, but effective.
Right.
Don't lettuce yourself. Don't make yourself disappear between the patty and the bun.
Vanilla is a flavor, and that's the beautiful thing, is that you can be a flavor. You can be your flavor to different audiences. You don't have to change flavors depending on the audience. So be like vanilla. Don't be like lettuce.
That's it. Well, and this is the thing, like yourself and many other people will be like, oh yeah, it's vanilla. It's like, no, vanilla's good. Vanilla's great. Just don't be lettuce. Don't be lettuce. It's a filler. You don't need to be boring filler. You want to be, and actually my speech is really fun because at the end I'm like, be the dressing, be the spice, be the croutons, for crying out loud. Just stop being the lettuce.
Love a good crouton. And
anyways, I need to ask you a question. My question is, now that we've come to the end of the fullest part of our conversation, I need to ask you, if there's one thing that the people who have joined us for this conversation need to hear in order to leave this conversation with I got this kind of moment, then I want you to share it with them. Now, before you do, because I know that's a big ask, I want to remind everybody who's joined us here today that these conversations happen every single week. So hit the subscribe button, leave us a comment, heck, give us a review. Let us know what you think so we can talk more about these really important things that are happening in your life, in your business, and in, of course, our expansion as human beings. With that, remember to subscribe, ding the bell, and Jon, please tell the people what they need to hear.
Well, maybe we need to go get ourselves a bowl of vanilla bean ice cream, because that might be our number one priority here after the show. You changed my view on the term vanilla, Shauna. So that was my big takeaway from this conversation. Hopefully your big takeaway, though, is that podcasting can be your trust building engine and your content creation engine. And that's why you have to do a little audit. How much does your audience trust you? Are there ways that your audience could trust you more? And with the power of podcasting, that could be your way to build trust, drive results, and never spin your wheels with content again. And that's why if you book a free consultation up at storytrust.media, which I know there's a QR code right now on the screen. So thank you, Shauna, for putting that up, and the link down in the show notes. If you book that consultation, we'll do that audit together. We'll go through, see how much are you trusted? And is your content actually creating trust, building trust with your audience, or is it just contributing to noise? So that free audit, I've also written an ebook that I will share with you for free by scanning that code and grabbing that free consultation and building out a plan and describing some of the services that we provide at storytrust.media, if that is the right fit for you. So again, scan that QR code or click the link. And Shauna, thank you for this opportunity to come talk about trust building. I know we could talk all day.
Oh my goodness, could we ever? I absolutely enjoyed this conversation, and I hope that everyone here did as well. One of the things that I really want to encourage you to do is to actually book that call. Book the consultation call. Having that audit done alone, and there's a laundry list of ways that Jon helps you with all of this during the consultation call, this free consultation call. But the audit alone very well might be the thing that shifts your view from lettuce to vanilla. So please take the time, reach out, leave a message, and join us. Join us next time because we will be back soon. See you later. Bye now.